Why your dog always seems to know what you're about to do long before you do it. Welcome to higher order conditioning, a fancy way to describe when your dog has made associations on top of associations. You've all seen it. You open the fridge door and like magic, your dog appears next to you, hoping to get some of that cheese you haven't even reached for yet. Or you sit on the bed to put on some socks, and suddenly your dog is bouncing around and spinning in circles, excited to go for a walk. How did he know? Dogs learn through association. Well, we all do, and they are incredibly good at it. Higher order or second order conditioning has taken place when a neutral stimulus has been paired with what was previously a neutral stimulus that has since been paired with an involuntary response. I know, clear as mud. Let me explain. It's like a little association chain. Remember our classical conditioning example from lesson 2 where I described a bell, which was a neutral stimulus, being paired with food over and over again until the bell alone would induce an involuntary response like salivation? Well, in higher order conditioning, a new neutral stimulus is added to the beginning of that bell then food equation. For example, if I consistently opened a door before ringing the bell and then delivering food to the dog, the opening of the door would soon become a conditioned stimulus that would also induce salivation. Why? Well, because that action would predict, through a reliable series of events, that food was coming. Here's a side note with a cool little bonus experiment for you. When I say salivation, I'm not talking about your dog drooling all over the place. Salivation happens to all of us when we prepare to eat food. It's part of the digestive process. When we describe really yummy food as mouth-watering, we're talking about the classically conditioned response that we all experience when we so much as think about a food that we really, really like. Try it now. Think of a food that you really enjoy. Chocolate chip cookies, warm pizza, or your favorite holiday meal. Just look away from the screen for a moment and think about that food. Focus on how it smells, how it tastes, how it feels to eat it. And go ahead, come back in 10 or 15 seconds. I'll wait. Have you noticed saliva beginning to gather in your mouth, even though that food is presumably not present? If that didn't work, think of biting into a lemon right now or a sour candy. Did your cheeks pucker? Yeah, that's classical conditioning. It's kind of cool, isn't it? Well, higher order conditioning is an important concept to remember because if you think that your dog, who hates getting his nails trimmed, is only worried when he sees the nail clippers, think again. If you consistently do something else before your dog sees the clippers, that action will eventually become the stimulus that triggers your dog's fearful response. It might be that you're opening the drawer where you keep the clippers, or you might set up a grooming table, or you might reach for your eyeglasses first. And it's important to note all of this because when we start making a desensitization plan, we'll need to incorporate these other stimuli. And that will be your starting point, long before you ever touch a nail with the clippers. If your dog is afraid of getting into the car, he might begin to feel worried when you pick up your keys. Even if you have no intention of bringing him with you, you might see him cower or walk away or hide when he hears the keys, because in the past, when he did end up in the car, the sound of the keys was a reliable predictor that a car ride was about to happen. In a future lesson, I'll describe what behaviors and body language to look out for that might indicate your dog is beginning to feel uncomfortable. Because we want your dog to remain as comfortable as possible during the desensitization process, it'll be important for you to recognize these subtle signs. So here's your assignment. For now, can you think of an example of higher order conditioning in your home? And here's one of mine, and it's no doubt a very common one. So in phase 1, I keep my dog Bennigan's treats in a Rubbermaid container in the pantry. And he learned through repetition that every time I opened the container, he got a treat. If he heard the sound of the Rubbermaid container opening, he'd come running. And in phase 2, well, after a while, whenever I opened the pantry door, Benny was at my side within seconds. Well, the result is that my opening the pantry door is now as exciting to Benny as my opening the Rubbermaid container. And previously, Rubbermaid containers meant nothing to Benny. It was like the bell in our classical conditioning example. Then, by repeatedly opening the pantry door just prior to opening the Rubbermaid container, opening the pantry door became the second previously neutral stimulus that now predicts the appearance of treats. And opening the pantry door triggers the same response as the presence of a treat, even if I don't pull any treats out of the pantry.